Is there any way under the sun, wait, that Charlie Kirk is alive now? Is there any way in the remotest of chances of possibilities for whatever the reason, whatever the motivation, whoever's behind it, is there any chance that on September the 10th of last year, Charlie Kirk, beloved, cherished, followed, honored, principled man of God and family and the message, could have knowingly, deliberately, and intentionally falsified his own demise, causing stress, shock, sadness beyond anything that's even remotely explicable, understandable, or comprehensible? I have a very simple answer for that. But first, this word from our sponsor. What if I told you it's not just cholesterol clogging your arteries anymore? Researchers and heart surgeons recently found something shocking. Microplastics, tiny particles found in everyday items, were discovered in 58% of people with arterial plaque. And here's the scary part. Those with microplastics in their arteries had a 4.5 times higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and even death. Now think about that. These particles are everywhere. Your food, your water, even things you touch every day like your phone or even your steering wheel. And it could be one of the hidden reasons heart disease just keeps rising. Now, sure, there's talk in Washington about cracking down. Yeah, right. But when the plastics industry is worth over $1 trillion, well, change isn't coming anytime soon. So the real question is, what can you do right now? Well, there are a few simple, natural ways to help support healthy blood pressure and keep your arteries clear, including a simple drink that's been shown to lower blood pressure, a simple, fast-acting stress technique, and even a unique tea that's helping people see real results fast. I put everything into a short video so you can see exactly how it works. So right now, go right now, scan this QR code right there at the top of the screen, or go to myprimal.life/Lionel to watch it. That's myprimal.life/Lionel. It could be one of the simplest ways to help take control of your blood pressure starting today. I recognize the fact that there are some, and I don't mean to sound pedantic, I don't mean to sound brusque or rude, but there are some people who are new to this game, this thing that we're in. Call it analysis of news, conspiracy. I don't want to use the word conspiracy theories because that's not what it is. But there are many of us, many of you who are in fact new to this. And because you are new to this, you are amazed, frankly, amazed at how much of the evident can somehow seem less than evident. Because you're also, and again, I'm afraid I'm going to sound rude here, but you are of the, you are of a level of fascination which you've never known before. You see, up till now, if you've never done this, if you've never been involved in this, you enter a world that's almost mystical. Sometimes it's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's good guys and bad guys and deep state and shadow governments and Illuminati and globalists and Satanists and satanic Luciferian. I mean, you name it. There is an endless cacophony, a litany, a veritable this roster of bad guys and bad people that you couldn't even imagine that these people could be this bad, this much, this way. And I understand that. And I got it. But whenever you delve into this, you got to ask yourself, okay, let me see. Don't believe me, don't rule anything out. Don't rule anything out. But ask yourself, is this possible? How does it work? If something is impossible, don't even bother worrying about it. Always ask yourself, is this possible? How would this happen? How would Charlie absent himself, set this up in front of, because he would have to be involved in this. He would have to be involved in it. I don't think they knocked him out and then he woke up and he said, guess what? You are now inadvertently going to be in a classic ruse in which you're going to falsify your own demise. Okay. No, he would have had to have known this then. He would have had to have known what was happening if he were alive. And what's interesting is that sometimes there are people who will combine both his being alive with groups of people signaling his dispatch. Meaning, you have people who are giving signals, like a third base coach, doing this, indicating now either detonate a microphone, a belt buckle, some type of accoutrement, some jewelry, as people say, or signaling to the, but then again, that conflicts with the idea that he's alive. If he's alive, what are you signaling? Signaling the fake explosion, the fake crack of the rifle, the fake squib. Sometimes people confuse their argument. What is it going to be? And you can also have some other interesting side issues, like why are they taking SD cards out of the phones and that sort of thing. But understand this. So the first question is, I heard somebody the other day say, and I'm not going to mention, I'm not going to sit here and say that's silly, but it does seem rather inconsistent to both signal something occurring, which amounts to basically his mimicry of dispatch or death, which in fact did not occur. See what I mean? Now, aside from that, let's assume as we speak right this minute, Charlie Kirk is alive in the Galapagos Island, Dayton, Ohio, at a Holiday Inn Express. I don't know where, living on a ranch with a new family, with a new identity. He's 6'4", 6'5". With all due respect, show me his teeth, I'll spot him in a heartbeat. I'm a teeth person, and his gum to tooth ratio, I'm telling you, it's like Mad Dog Call. I'm not being mean. Please do not think I'm being, no, but I'm saying I know this. Some people know moles in ears or whatever. Just smile. That's Charlie. Unless he has a complete, no. Again, he's going to have laugh. He's going to have voice. You think this guy he's probably going to be one of the most famous people on the face of the earth. And he's going to secrete into what? Look, they did this before with they're saying Epstein. Somehow Epstein. Epstein is living in Roanoke? He drives a school bus, owns a bait and tackle shop. What do you think this guy who lived in the lap of luxury is now doing? Away from it all. What? He's going to say, okay, I'll do this. And why? What do you think you're getting away from? Do you think the people who matter know you're not there? I mean, what? There was a while back. Remember when there was a group of folks who thought that John F. Kennedy Jr. was alive? I don't know where this came because, hey, look at that guy. They always pointed out that he was in this group. Remember his name? I won't remind you if you never heard it, but there we go. There he is. I go, that's not John Kennedy Jr. Yes, it is. What? So where's Lauren Bissett, his wife? Where's or Caroline rather, the sister Lauren? Where are they? What about all this probating of wills and this and disposition? He's going to for the rest of his life? He's going to be what? He's going to be a greeter at Walmart. Where does he go? Who would want to say yes? I want to remove myself from what? And then people would say, well, it was because Hillary Clinton was going to threaten. No, no. Epstein is going to leave he goes from he goes from the biggest, in fact, interestingly enough, across from Bill Cosby's place, the biggest home residence in New York City. This used to be a school. He's going to go from that and islands and Zorro and this and he's going to go to remove himself from what? Where is he going to go? Who doesn't know who he is? Where do you think he is going to leave? So the same thing goes for Charlie. Where is he going? Why would he go someplace? Why? He would never be able to face anybody again. This goes against every single sense of duplicity and every sense of decency. And his children are not going to. What? Who has ever done this in the history? You think this is that? Look, we've had witness protection. In fact, it could have been done easier before. It could have been much easier before because we don't have internet. We don't have all this stuff. Who does this? What happens is people will sometimes find themselves in the position of wanting a theory to be true because of the novelty of it without really thinking it through, without saying, hey, wait a minute, this does or doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So stop worrying about that. I will tell you what does make sense. The official story about Tyler Robinson is nonsense. It is replete. It is filled with holes and lunacy. It does not make any sense whatsoever. It does not make any sense whatsoever. None of it. The rifle, the admission, none of it. None of it. And we haven't even gotten to the beginning of that trial. Another thing, too, I want to remind you, dear friends, as I've said before, as we celebrate today's Candace Owens' birthday, a date that shall live in, not infamy, but in celebration. Unless we have the facts of the case, specifically, medical examiner, all the records they have, everything. ME's report, medical examiner, blood, photos, morgue shots, analysis of that which is found in the body itself. Was it plastic? Was it rubber? Was it polymers? Was it fragment-like? Was it, we don't think it's frangible, but was it bullet-like? What was it? We can talk all day long, unless we know that. We're wasting our time. Unless you let people come in and say, let me see that wound. Showing depth of the wound. You ever seen this? They'll show depth. They'll show, depending upon, in stabbings, they'll put doweling. They'll put sticks to show. You've got to see a markup. Because remember, a good medical examiner, a good ME's report is something for the ages. It's everything you need to know. Graphs and inspection and pictures and videos and this, it is really something. Not only that, the identification of somebody, the confirmation that this is in fact Charlie Kirk. And that can be done in a host of different ways. Not only that, there was a person who was handled at the funeral home. There was his wife and all of the people that would have had to have been involved in this fraud and the like. And not only that, if in fact he is not dispatched, if he's not, then Tyler Robinson is sitting there charged with nothing. Are they going to let him go to what? Do you know how this would fall through? There's got to be, during the course of this, there is somebody, the medical examiner is going to have to testify that there was a person brought to him, identified as Charlie Kirk, that he knows to be Charlie Kirk, and that person was dead. Boom, 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 boom. It's just that simple. The layers of perjury and obstruction of justice and indictments from the sheriff, everybody who looked at this knew about it, should have asked a question. It is beyond preposterous. It doesn't make any sense because, please, I say this with all due respect, sometimes the love of the hypothesis, the love of the theory, the love of the legerdemain, the love of the furtive, duplicitous underside of this. The love of that is so great. The excitement from a lot of first timers, tyros, people who are, that they miss. And I saw this during 9/11. 9/11, oh my God. From the dancing Israelis to Larry Silverstein, pull it. And people just were off and running and said, wait a minute, hold it. I don't want to give you Occam's razor, which, by the way, for the most part is used incorrectly. Occam's razor doesn't mean give me the simplest answer. That's not what it says. A complicated answer is fine so long as it doesn't involve excessive inferences. But don't lose yourself in the excitement of maybe your first conspiracy theory. Look, we have been through this. Most of us, maybe your parents, grandparents, I don't know, were involved in the JFK case, and then the Bobby Kennedy case. Bobby Kennedy case, they're still saying that was a conspiracy involving Thane Eugene Caesar and other people. They know that one. There are people involving Sirhan Sirhan also, and MK Ultra. Mark David Chapman, MK Ultra. By the way, MK Ultra, that word is also thrown in. Please do a little research on that. That doesn't mean somebody is kind of mental. It means somebody was basically either through brainwashing, menticide, or some type of drug application was put into some kind of hypnotic state and kind of a Manchurian candidate thing. Remember, this is your first rodeo. Use the right terms, use the right scenarios, but don't go there yet. It could very well be, this could be, without a doubt, it could be. Absolutely. Don't think for a moment that this is beyond the realm of possibilities, but it's got to work in terms of it's got to make some sense. Okay? So just sit tight. I promise you, we're on this. Enjoy all of the wonderful theories and hypotheses that are advanced. I do. Bless them for being a part of this, for wanting to be a part of the show, for advancing. And sometimes you'll find there are some things that are brought up which really don't mean anything. You might have somebody say, notice how the watch in this particular, this fellow, it's on the left hand, then it's on the right hand, or something like that. And you'll say, aha, so that means, point it out first, wait a little bit until so that means. You could say, it looks like, or I wouldn't be surprised if, but sometimes there are anomalies that happen. You don't really, there's no reason for it. You know, remember the old line, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. It's not there. What this most probably was somebody else wanted this Charlie Kirk removal to be a splash because it could have been done so much easier. Charlie was not that protected. It could have happened if you just wanted him removed. Same with Epstein. It could have been done so much easier. Why did they do this in public? What was the purpose of this? And as far as motives, the motives are incredible. First of all, there are the obvious motives, the people who would benefit, cui bono, cui prodest, those who would benefit. And also there are people, it's false flag to make it look like it's somebody else who you want the blame to shift there. The question is, so many people would have, at least on paper, benefited to have Charlie Kirk somehow dispatched. Somehow there were people, at least on paper, who would theoretically have benefited to have him removed, expurgated, bowdlerized, emended, ablated from reality, excised, amputated from the real world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he did it. Many people would have. Who would have benefited from TPUSA? Especially with Charlie saying, I want to doge their ass and investigate this. Maybe. Could foreign countries have benefited from this? Perhaps. Obviously, you've heard of it. But you got to ask the question, was his vocal state so critical that world opinion would have been affected? Because we're talking world events, world opinions, world vectors, world, all of these have to be asked. And then understand that just because somebody doesn't make sense doesn't mean that somebody's not stupid enough to do it. When do crimes really make sense the way they're supposed to make sense on paper? And when do real motivating factors, people who would benefit from this, actually come through? We don't know. We've learned through John Kennedy, who benefited everybody. Everybody. The bigger you are, the more people are going to benefit from you. What's happening, though, what's interesting is this. If TPUSA, if it was some type of, let's say it was some, and I'm not naming anybody, I don't have reason to believe, but if you just, by virtue of process of elimination, if you think somebody in TPUSA would benefit, they're crazy, because TPUSA is going to be going bye-bye very soon, at least by all accounts, by all logical accounts. Because without Charlie, there is no TPUSA. Nothing. Nothing. It's like thinking that, you know, a Muppet is a Muppet without Jim Henson. It's like, no, it's the hand. It's the thing that animates it. So we can go through all this. But then again, that doesn't mean that, and sometimes things just happen for reasons we will never understand. People do not sign off on this. People will not say, okay, let's do it. You always want plausible deniability. So I don't want to complicate this, but I just want to tell you this much, that I think you can rest assured it is horrible enough that based upon the foregoing reasons and averments cited on my part, that Charlie Kirk is no longer of this world and no longer of our and his existence. I'm sorry to say that. What do you think? I have some questions for you that I've put up for you to review. Please let me know. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I being short-sighted? Let me know. I love your opinion. Please like the video. You know how that is. Please subscribe to our noble channel. Thanks to your success. And whatever I do, as I normally say, comment as you see fit.